All right, guys, this is a practice passage for the test tomorrow. What I want you to practice today is pausing the video when you think there's a good annotation to make. So when you hear something important, click pause on the video and make your annotation on your sheet. Then you can play the video and wait to annotate again. This passage is called The Roof of Leaves, A Tale of Anger and Forgiveness from the Congo by Donna L. Washington. Donna L. Washington is a professional storyteller, actress, and author. In this story from the Congo, a man and a wife must act quickly to save their marriage after a fight. As you read, take notes on the wife's thoughts and actions towards her husband in the story. This story is based on a real incident. It is about a man and a woman and the quick thinking that saves them both from making a big mistake. Once, a man and a woman who had loved each other for a long time came together as man and wife. The people of the village, to celebrate the marriage, built them a beautiful house. It had a roof of bright green leaves. The two of them were very happy. But one morning they were in a bad mood. They started arguing. Then they started yelling. The two of them became so angry they forgot many things. They forgot that they had spent a great deal of time together laughing and talking in the shadows of the great trees. They forgot that they were in love. They forgot that they were happy. The husband got so angry that he ran out of the house. Once outside, the husband in his fury laid his hands on the first thing he saw and began to rip it apart. This thing was the roof of the house. He was so angry that he did not even realize what he was doing. He had forgotten that when either the husband or the wife pulls all the leaves off the roof of their house, it means, I divorce you. We will no longer live beneath the same roof. The wife came outside. As she watched her husband pull leaves off their house, she saw how full of anger he was. It made her remember how he could also be full of joy. He loved to laugh, and he could sing better than anyone else in the village. He was also one of the best storytellers. The wife was going to say something when she noticed people coming out of their houses. If I say something, she thought, they'll think I'm to blame for this argument. I won't say anything unless my husband speaks first. The husband began to pull the leaves slower and slower. He realized what he was doing. He didn't want to divorce his wife. Now that his anger was leaving him, he couldn't even remember why they had argued. Just as he was about to stop pulling the leaves, he saw his wife and all the villagers watching him. If I stop pulling the leaves, everyone will think this argument was my fault. Well, I won't stop until my wife says something. The people of the village looked from husband to the wife. They were astonished. They knew the two of them loved each other. All the neighbors wanted to say something, but it was not a good idea to come between a man and his wife. It seemed there was no hope for the situation. Everyone was silent. The wife watched the husband. The husband pulled leaves off the roof, and the neighbors looked around sadly. Husband, the wife said, so suddenly that everyone jumped, these are the only leaves that are dirty. You can leave the rest of them up there. The husband looked at his wife with confusion. I said, she repeated slowly, these are the only leaves that are dirty. Come, let us take them down to the river. Without waiting to see if he was doing what she said, she began to gather up the fallen leaves. The husband stood there for a moment, confused, and then he began to smile and collect the leaves with his wife. They took them down to the river and washed them in the water. Then they laid them out to dry in the sun and went swimming. Afterward, they collected the leaves and replaced them on the roof together. On that day, every wife went to her husband and mentioned something about the dirty leaves on top of their own homes. Together, husbands and wives removed leaves from the roofs of their houses, washed them in the river, and dried them in the sun. That had never happened before in the village. As far as we know, it never happened again. The best that can be hoped for is that we remember that we can always wash the leaves. All right. Tomorrow on your test, you're going to have to write 2 genre-based thinking jobs. So I want you to start by practicing a genre-based thinking job in this section. So first decide, was this fiction or nonfiction? And then look at the posters to see which genre-based thinking job to use. Pause the video and write your genre-based thinking job on this blank spot in the page. Once you're finished doing your genre-based thinking job, it's time to answer these questions. On your test tomorrow, you're going to be graded on your testing strategies. I want you to use process of elimination where you cross out the wrong answers. I want you to wham your questions where you cover up the answer choices and write your own answer above the question. And I want you to tag your evidence where you go look back in the text and write the number of the question next to where you find the answer. Let's practice with number 1. Part A. Which statement expresses the theme of the story? A. People often act out without thinking when they are angry. B. One can repair a broken relationship by offering kindness and forgiveness. C. It is difficult for people to move on from being hurt by the one they love. D. Sometimes small lies can help resolve problems rather than make them worse. Pause here and use your testing strategies. Part B. Which detail from the text best supports the answer to Part A? So this is a Part A, Part B question. That means the piece of evidence you choose here has to support the answer that you circled up here. So which detail from the text best supports your answer to Part A? A. They forgot that they were in love. They forgot that they were happy. The husband got so angry that he ran out of their house. B. He didn't want to divorce his wife. Now that his anger was leaving him, he couldn't even remember why they had argued. C. They knew the two of them loved each other. All the neighbors wanted to say something, but it was not a good idea to come between a man and his wife. D. Without waiting to see if he was doing what she said, she began to gather up the fallen leaves. The husband stood there for a moment confused, and then he began to smile and collect the leaves with his wife. So in this one, you can just use process of elimination and cross out the ones you know are wrong. Pause the video if you need to. Number 3. How does paragraph 5 contribute to the development of ideas in the story? So this question mentions paragraph 5, so we need to go back and look at paragraph 5 in our story. Tomorrow I can't do this for you, but you can do it by finding the paragraph number, or if they're not numbered, you can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's read paragraph 5 again. The wife came outside. As she watched her husband pull leaves off their house, she saw how full of anger he was. It made her remember that he could also be full of joy. He loved to laugh, and he could sing better than anyone else in the village. He was also one of the best storytellers. Let's go back to our question. How did that paragraph, paragraph 5, contribute to the development of ideas in the story? A. It shows how often someone gets upset in a close relationship. B. It shows how some people have very little control over their emotions. C. It shows how strong people's emotions can be, whether they are good or bad. D. It shows how it is possible to see someone's good qualities even in a moment of anger. Pause the video if you need to, and make sure you're using testing strategies. Number 4. How does the husband and wife's fight affect the rest of the village? A. It causes the villagers to lose faith in their traditions around marriage. B. It reminds the couples in the village that all relationships encounter obstacles. C. It encourages each couple to work together to take care of their home and relationship. D. It reminds the villagers that taking care of their home is more important than taking care of their relationship. This is your last question. Use your testing strategies.